Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at Catan Starfarers. This is the new version of Starfarers of Catan that has been out for a very long time and is actually pretty hard to get a hold of now. So they've reprinted it and they've updated all of the components. And they made a few slight changes, I think, to gameplay. I'm going on memory here, but I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that later. Let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts in a few moments. Let's hit it. So here I have a 4-player game of Catan Starfarers set up for you. Now the basic point of the game is to simply be the first person to score 15 points, and if you've done that, you've won the game. In order to do that, you have to do a couple of different things. You have to build more colonies out here on the board. Each colony is going to give you 1 point. You also have to go trade with these different alien races, and the first person to go out there gets this little thing, which is worth points. Some of these friendship cards will give you the ability to do other things in the game a little bit easier. There's those types of things as well. You're also going to be getting these fame tokens throughout the course of the game, and 2 of these tokens equals 1 point. You can also take out pirate strongholds and terraform ice planets in order to get points. And basically, you're just trying to do all of those things to get 15 points first. Whoever does that wins the game. Now the game is going to be played out in rounds with each player taking their own turn, and each player is going to be going through 3 different phases in their turn. The production phase, where they're going to roll the dice. The number that is rolled on the dice generates resources for any planet. If you have a planet that is adjacent to one of the planets that is rolled, then you get to generate 1 of those resources for every colony that you have adjacent to that planet. There is also a reserve deck of resources where if you have 9 points or less, you're going to be able to draw either 2 or 1 card in addition to any of the production, any of the resources that are produced by the production roll. Then you'll move on to your trade and build phase, where you'll be able to trade resources that you've received, and you'll also be able to build things into your tableau or onto the board. For example, you can build a new trade ship, which is going to be used to come out here and trade with these different alien races. You can build a colony ship, which is what you'll use to produce new colonies on the producing planets. You can buy a spaceport, which is going to get you an extra point. You can buy freight pods. You're also going to be able to build cannons, which gives you more firepower in some of those encounters that you'll run into, and then boosters, which will add to your movement. After your trade and build phase, you'll move on to your flight phase, where you're going to be rolling these different colored pellets that are in the bottom of your ship. And you'll simply roll them that way, and whichever pellets come out determine the speed that you're going to be able to fly during that turn. Now, if a black pellet comes out and shows itself there, your base speed is going to be 3, and you'll have to draw 1 of these encounter cards before you actually move to determine what happens. We'll talk about these in just a few moments. If the pellets that are rolled in the bottom of your ship come out and there isn't a black pellet there, then you simply add together the values. So for example, a red pellet and a yellow pellet will turn into a speed of 5, and then you will add to it any boosters that you have added to your ship, and that will give you your maximum speed that your ship can move. So for example, with a roll of 5 with no bonus boosters or anything like that, my ship is going to be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the black pellet is rolled during your turn, you have to go into the encounter deck. And what will happen here is that the person to your left will take a card and read this to you, and then you have to make a decision based upon the situation. So for example, this particular encounter card says, you meet some space pirates who offer a trade of 1 of your resources for 2 other resources of your choice. Do you accept the offer? And then you have to choose, do you, yes, I will, or no, I don't accept the offer. So just to flesh out the entire encounter here, let's say if you chose yes, well, then you would trade 1 of your resources with 2 of the other resources of your choice, and then you would shake your mothership again. And then determined by what pellets come out this time, it's a 3. It gives this outcome. The Galactic Police confiscate your ill-gotten gains. You lose the 2 resources you just received, and 1 fame medal piece that you may or may not have already acquired some other way during the game, which basically is half a point or a full point, determined by what you have to lose there. If you roll a 1 or a 2, the pirates thank you and wish you a safe voyage. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you're accused of receiving stolen goods and you lose 1 fame point. So 3 is literally the worst roll that I could have gotten on this encounter. Now, if I say no, then I simply continue my trip and nothing else bad happens. So it's those kinds of choices that these encounter cards are going to be giving you. Now, continuing on with the example of a move of 5 that was rolled here with the red and yellow pellets there. Let's say I move my 5. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then whenever you meet an intersection that is adjacent to a planetary system that has pieces on it that are that are still not flipped over, you will flip all of them over like so. Now, here's the thing here. If there is an ice planet or if there is a pirate stronghold, which will have a disc that looks like this or similar, then you cannot place a colony ship on either of those 2 places. So on this particular phase, I would not be able to take this colony ship here and land with my 5th move because I can't have a colony there because of the ice planet. It has to be terraformed first. So I would continue my trip by going 5 here so that I can try to get over to this spot and settle this place, which will in future turns produce a good on either a 4 or a 5 for me. Now, in order to terraform a planet like this, you have to have at least 4 or more of these freight pods on your ship. And these freight pods can be purchased and they simply add to your ship like so. And so once you have, for this particular ice planet, once you have 4 or more of these things, then if I am adjacent to the ship later on, I can take this off. I will take this as a trophy. I'm sorry, the 4, not the 3. I will take this as a trophy, which is actually a victory point at the during the course of the game, getting me closer to my goal of 15. And then I'll take one of these and place it out there so that it now can be colonized and will produce more on, in this specific case, a 10. For the pirate colonies, however, it simply has a number of lasers that your ship has to have on it in order to defeat or liberate that pirate stronghold. And if you're able to do that, much like with the ice planets, this will turn into a point for you. And then another number token will be placed out on that planet, and it can then be colonized as normal. In order to establish a trade post, you have to have a trade ship available, and you have to move on to the actual docking port of the alien ship that you want to trade with. You also have to have a number of freight pods on your mothership that is one at least more than the number of trade posts that have already been placed at that dock. So if there are no other trade colonies out here, then you're able to do it with just one pod, and then that takes one of the spaces of that trade colony. And the first person that goes to that thing gets to take the friendship token and add it to their tableau, which gives them 2 points on the board here, like so. And you're also able to take a look at the friendship cards that are in the deck and choose one of them as yours. When they'll give you certain things. For example, this one allows you to trade 2 ice for one of any of your choice. This allows you to trade 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 red, and this can trade 1-for-1 trade goods. So that's what these specific friendship cards will do. Other alien races will have different abilities that you can use throughout the course of the game. So it just depends on where you would like to trade and what races you have friendships with. Now, if somebody else wants to come and establish a trade colony here, they will have to have at least 2 freight pods on their mothership in order to do that. The next one will have to have 3 freight pods on theirs, and so forth and so on. Finally, if a 7 is rolled in production, nobody generates any resources from any of their planets because none of the planets have a 7. Additionally, the person who rolled the 7 will be able to choose one of the other players and take one of their resources from their hand at random. Additionally, if anybody has more than 7 resources in their hand, they have to discard half of their cards, rounding down. But then everybody else, other than the player who rolled the 7, gets to take a resource card from the top of the deck here to make rolling a 7 a little bit less annoying. But that is basically it, where each player is going to take turns going through those 3 phases: production, rolling the dice, trading and building with other players. You can trade with the bank as well at a cost of 3 to 1 or 2 to 1. Then you're going to go through your flight phase and try to move out here and spread out and building more colonies, getting more trade ships, establishing friendships with these different alien races, and whoever gets to 15 points first is the winner. So that's about that for Starfarers of Catan. And now it is, I know I kind of brushed over a lot of that stuff, but basically Catan is well known. So you roll dice, you produce resources, you trade resources, you build stuff with those resources, and you're just trying to get to those 15 points first. So I apologize if I kind of maybe glossed over a few of the more points of minutia that are there. I gave you a very generalistic idea of how to play the game. So there you have it. Now my first pro here is, wow, did they do a good job on the components. I love the fact that they kept those motherships, and I love the fact that they used the pellets for movement and all that. They kept all of that. I love the fact that they didn't change any of that, because that's one of the things that made this game pop when it first came out. Unfortunately, when it first came out, the components were not made of good material, so they were very brittle and they broke really easily. That is not the case with this version. They have done very well. Many of the things are just push fit, so there's no tension that's going to be put on the different pieces, which was a problem with the original. It looks a lot more modern, but it still kept that retro feel, which I really think is cool. My second pro for the game is that they largely kept gameplay, they left it alone. They kept it the way it was, but one of the things that I really liked about it from the beginning were those encounter cards. That encounter deck is just a really neat mechanism that provides a little bit of spice to, in my opinion, a kind of boring game. Because generally speaking, you're just rolling dice, producing resources, using those resources to purchase points, basically, and that's it. When you're moving and you don't know what that encounter card's going to have, it triggers on one of the black pellets being rolled, and I don't know, it just adds a level of tension, not a whole lot of tension, but a level of tension to the game that really spices it up, and I love that mechanism. My third pro is another unique mechanism that this game employs, and that is rolling your mothership to see what pellet comes out into that engine compartment so that you can determine how fast you're going to move, or if you're going to have one of those encounters that I just got through talking about. I really enjoy that mechanism. It's similar to rolling dice, I get it, but it's different. It's unique, and I like that because it draws attention to itself. I love it when games draw attention to themselves, because that's what sets them apart. People are going to watch you rolling your mothership, and they're going to ask, what are you doing? And you get to explain it. Well, I'm determining how fast I can move throughout the galaxy. And that's just an interesting thing to me. And I'm glad that they kept it, and I'm glad that they improved upon it because the components were just chintzy in the original one. But this one, really well done. So with my cons, I really only have one con, and that was the fact that they came with cardboard standees for the different aliens. No. You had so many cool plastic pieces in this game, you couldn't spring for 4 more pieces. That's just, that was kind of a, I don't know, to me that seemed like a faux pas because you have all of this other good stuff and then you have the chintzy alien components. I certainly hope they're not going to ask you to buy a set of 4 that could have easily been put inside. They're probably gonna, maybe they're gonna prepaint them or something like that and then sell them as a set. I hope they don't do that. That's what they did originally. But I hope they don't redo that. But I just thought that was the only kind of, one of those Monday Night Football, come on, man. One of those things, that's what that felt like. And it's a minor con. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't affect gameplay or anything like that. But it just was like one of those things like, really? Come on. Why didn't you just put 4 more little miniatures in there to act as those friendship tokens? It just didn't make sense to me. That's my only con, though. So with all that being said, this is my second favorite way to play Catan. And as a matter of fact, it's one of 2 ways that I will play Catan. The other one is the Catan Geographies Germany. That's my favorite one. This is my second favorite game. And that was even before this redone version came out. I really enjoyed playing the older one. Even with the messed up components, I still enjoyed the game. It just took Catan to a different level for me, one that I would enjoy. So with that having been said, I'm going to give this one a strong 8 out of 10 because they really did a great job with the components. They really kept the game basically the way it was played to begin with, and I enjoy that as well. So with all that having been said, 8 out of 10 for me for Catan Starfarers. Thanks for joining us. I certainly appreciate it. We'll see you on the flip side. Take care now.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.